the major factor in that, or are there other things that work here that has caused you guys to struggle in scoring points?
Well, I think number one, it starts with Dak. I mean, anytime an offense loses its starting quarterback, especially the way Dak was playing. I mean, he was playing at a high level. Was obviously a ton of production, but I think also the combination of the other injuries. It's just as we've talked time and time again in here, the losses to the offensive line. When you lose, a number of veterans at one position, it's obviously an added stress.
All right, so the Cowboys are 2-6, fellas. They are third in the worst division in football. Marcus Spears, former Cowboy, with us now. Marcus, always good to see you. Check him out every day, 4 Eastern on NFL Live. Stephen A., I know you have fun with the Cowboys fans specifically, but in all seriousness, they don't have Zach, who didn't get taken care of by the team, mind you. And we've seen how they've performed now without him. Do you think it's fair to give the Cowboys a pass based on Dak's injury?
Well, it depends on who you're asking me about. If you're asking me about the team collectively, I'll say yes, because you've got a third-string quarterback, a second unit as your offensive line, and obviously a defense that's horrid, that has a defensive coordinator who has no business being the defensive coordinator. But if you're talking to me specifically about Mike McCarthy and whether or not he deserves a pass, hell no. And here's the reason why. He hired Mike Nolan. Now, Marcus Spears, let me say this to you. You know how I like to troll Cowboy fans because I can't stand those noisy and disgusting people. I can't stand Cowboy fans. They're the worst. But I didn't joke around this past weekend because it's not funny to me. It was so bad. It was so bad what I saw from them. It was just a national embarrassment. I'm serious about that. I mean, right now, you can make a legitimate argument. And I'm going to roll with my man, the playmaker, Michael Irvin, when he tried to make the argument that the Cowboys may very well be the worst team in all of football, maybe with the exception of the New York Jets. And if they were going against the New York Jets, could you bet your money definitively that they would beat the Jets? That's how bad the Cowboys are. And when I look at Mike McCarthy, guess what? With Dak Prescott, you were losing games at the beginning. Your offense was prolific, but your defense was giving up over 38 points a game. And why was that the reality? Because you have a defensive coordinator. The last time we saw him as a defensive coordinator was 6 years ago when he was the coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, and they were the 31st ranked defense in the entire NFL. That's on Mike McCarthy. Now, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones told him to keep Kellen Moore. Well, damn it, you had the top-ranked offense when Dak Prescott was quarterbacking your team. You kept being 14 down and being in a hole, and Ezekiel Elliott hadn't shown up yet, but you were still putting up points. And the reality is that, so when you look at yourself offensively, you were very potent, but you were still losing games because your defense stunk. And your defense stunk because you decided to get rid of the dudes in Marinelli and Rashard that I thought did a pretty damn good job over the previous 2 years, hovering over the defense for the Dallas Cowboys. But you got rid of them, and you brought in your dude. And your dude has no business being a defense coordinator. And as apropos as it may be, it's still worth bringing up that the only reason that Mike Nolan has made news this year is A, because his defense is horrid, and B, because he got Tabasco sauce in his eye during the press conference and had to leave for 3 minutes. That's about it. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I'm just saying, wait a minute. I can't let Mike McCarthy off the hook. Now, if you were losing games, guys, because suddenly your offense, you've only scored 1 touchdown in your last 31 possessions since Dak Prescott's gone out, and that's why you were losing games, that would be different. But they were losing before Dak Prescott got hurt because the defense stunk. And that's because of a coordinator that has no business having that job. And Mike McCarthy gave it to him. That is where I hold Mike McCarthy accountable. That is why he does not deserve a pass.
No, he doesn't deserve a pass, but let me be very clear why. It's not because losing your starting quarterback, a quarterback of Dak's obvious leadership abilities, which are glaring now that he's gone, right? Now you can really see it. It's not just that any team would have a tough time with that. Like, recall, we give Mike Tomlin enormous credit for last year because without Roethlisberger, they went 8-8. But Tomlin did already have a good defense. And they then traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick, right? When you look at this Dallas defense, not only was it nothing to write home about last year, They then lose Robert Quinn and Byron Jones, especially when you look at Jones, to free agency. That's like almost 20% of your defense at a high level, and the defense was no good last year. So from that point of view, you can say, okay, they deserve a pass. Let me tell you why I'm not going to give it to them. The reason the Cowboys don't get a pass for struggling now, Stephen A., it's not just what you said, which is true. They were losing when Dak was healthy. It's not just, hey, they really needed help on the defensive side of the ball, especially given the defections to free agency. CeeDee Lamb may be the best player available, but go draft some defense. Like, go figure out a way to fix that. And they didn't do that. It's this. You know who gets a pass? Teams who've built equity. Teams who've built equity get a pass. When I was in LA doing afternoon drive, I used to tell Lakers fans, and there was a dry spell, right? I used to tell Lakers fans, hold on, calm down. The Lakers get a pass. They're the most successful franchise in the history of basketball. Their dry spells last a couple years, and they include sometimes making the playoffs. Then they go back to winning championships. If any team has bought your loyalty and patience, what's that?
Lost for 6 years. They lost for 6 years. No, don't say a couple. A couple's two.
The
Lakers lost for 6, 7 years.
I understand.
Okay.
They did this time, which is their longest dry spell. And then they got back not to the playoffs, but to winning a championship. So 6 in between championships, 10 years, whatever. The point is, Lakers fans, the Lakers have earned their loyalty and their patience, even though the standards are sky high. Cowboys haven't done that. Cowboys haven't been really relevant in a big way in the playoffs in a quarter century. They haven't done that. The Patriots have bought and earned your loyalty and patience in New England. Let's see how this shakes out, right? The Dallas Cowboys haven't done that. They don't get a pass. They were 8-8 last year with Dak and Byron Jones and Robert Quinn in a division they should have run away with, and they missed the playoffs. No pass for the Dallas Cowboys.
I 100% agree with you, Max. And listen, this is no one on this staff gets a pass. Obviously, we know that there wasn't the offseason. The most catastrophic thing for this team is the offensive line. I know what Dak was doing, and Dak was good behind that offensive line. He was good when they were all healthy. He was good when they weren't. But losing those guys is the biggest impact, because at least with them, you could say, well, we'll hand the ball off. Now you got Zeke fumbling. Like, the same mistakes are being made week in and week out. And I'm strictly talking about the coaching staff. Diggs' eyes is still in the backfield and people are running past him. They still have safeties that can't get over the top and stop people from catching touchdowns and going over the top. I didn't give Philly a pass when their whole team was hurt last year, and they beat the Cowboys to get in the playoffs. They don't deserve a pass, but if